Okay, folks, so I'm going to see what I can do to help you get your calculations done for your KSP lab, but we will talk about it on Friday if need be. So let's just think about what we were doing. And there was something I did before you came into the lab. And that was I needed to make this saturated solution of the potassium hydrogen tartrate. So to do that, I measured out some potassium hydrogen tartrate in a weigh boat, and I put it into a big beaker full of plain deionized water. So the point here is that we want to find the concentration of a saturated solution. So when we saw the beaker at the beginning of class, we saw that it looked something like this. We had a solid in the bottom of it, and what we couldn't see visually because we can't see molecules is that there was some amount of dissolved potassium hydrogen tartrate floating around in the solution. And this concentration is what I'm trying to find. This is the solubility. So this concentration in this lovely little picture of this beaker, this would be all that is able to dissolve to make a saturated solution. So my concentrations here of the potassium ion and the hydrogen tartrate ion, those would be the equilibrium concentrations. And that's what I'm trying to find, is what is the equilibrium concentration in that big solution. So first things first, we have to think about what our initial situation was. The reaction that we're trying to work on here, remember, is that we take our potassium hydrogen tartrate, which is a solid, there it is, and we dissolved it in some water to get aqueous K plus ions and aqueous hydrogen tartrate ions. So first thing we have to think about if we're going to make a rice table here is, well, we had this as a solid, and we saw here that we had a solid, but what is my initial molarity of K plus and hydrogen tartrate in this beaker right now that is nothing but deionized water? Well, if it's nothing but deionized water, it doesn't have any potassium ions in it, and it doesn't have any hydrogen tartrate ions in it. But when we made our solution, we added some of those hydrogen tartrate ions in solution. So if we had started out with our solid, clearly some of that solid has dissolved. And that means that not all of that solid is still there at equilibrium. And we said here that we started with none of this in our water, but clearly some of it has dissolved. So that's going to be the amount that we're trying to figure out. What is the concentration at equilibrium? Well, we wouldn't really be able to figure this out with just the potassium ion, but what we do know is that this is acidic. And that's why we could use this as a titration. So we filtered this so that we would not have any extra dissolving solid. And you took 25 milliliters of it and put it in a flask to be able to titrate it. So here's a little picture. We took 25 milliliters of our saturated solution, and therefore in our water solution here, we have potassium ions and we have hydrogen tartrate ions. And this is still a saturated solution. There is no more solid that could have dissolved in the sample that we took it out of. And when we added more water, it didn't change anything. We didn't have any more solid that was able to dissolve. We could not have changed the molarity of the potassium. We couldn't have changed the amount of the potassium ions and tartrate ions when we added water, because you just told me deionized water doesn't have any potassiums or any tartrates in it. So we're left with this starting situation. And what we had in our burette then was this sodium hydroxide solution that was about 0.0499 molar once we did our average of all of our standardized molarities. And of course, we have an initial volume that was in our pipette, and since the sodium ion is just a spectator, this would be all of the ions that actually mattered in my titrant. Lots of hydroxides. So what I know happens here is that when I take that acidic hydrogen tartrate ion and I put in some of my titrant, then that does an acid-base reaction. I make water and the, not hydrogen tartrate, but the tartrate ion, which is now 2-. So my reaction is going to go. I'm going to drop in an OH. If I drop in an OH, it's going to pull that H off and make a tartrate ion. As I drop in another OH, it's going to take that H off and make a tartrate ion, and that H off, and that H off. And finally, we're going to get all of these reacted, and we're going to be at the equivalence point. We have all of the OH that we have added has reacted. All of the hydrogen tartrate ion I had has reacted. And so all we have is our spectator ions, sodium and potassium, and the hydrogen tartrate ion that has reacted. At this point, it was still clear and colorless. The issue was after we added that one more drop. Once we added that one more drop, we now had extra OH minus in that solution. And that extra OH minus was able to react with our indicator, and therefore we got our lovely light pink solution here. And so our pink solution was our end point of our indicator. Now, phenolphthalein changes just barely past the neutral pH, so we should have been very close, but just a tiny bit past our end point. At that point, once we had our end point, we could look back at our burette. We had our initial volume here that we wrote down, and now we've measured our final volume, which means this distance in between here is the volume, milliliters, of our 0.0499 molar NaOH solution. Well, this is a reaction problem. This is a stoichiometry problem. That means I want some moles or some millimoles. Of course, the good news is, if I do that, I can get 2 millimoles of NaOH. And when I go back and I look at this reaction that I'm actually doing in my flask, remember that is a 1-to-1 reaction. Every 1 millimole of sodium hydroxide reacted with 1 millimole of the hydrogen tartrate ion. So if I know the millimoles of NaOH, then that 1-to-1 stoichiometry allows me to find the millimoles that were here. The biggest thing I have to remember is that every single one of those millimoles of the hydrogen tartrate ion came from that 25 milliliters. And so if I want to calculate the concentration of the hydrogen tartrate ion, that's that number of millimoles divided by the milliliters of the sample, 2500 milliliters, because all of that acid came from that filtered 25 milliliters. Any extra water I added just to bring the level up to where I could see it better didn't change the amount of hydrogen tartrate ions in here. Once I have the molarity, well, now I have the things that I need to go back and finish things up. If I know the molarity of my saturated solution, I've just calculated it as my millimoles over my 25 milliliters. This isn't an X anymore. This is just a number. This is a molarity. And the only way to get from the 0 in distilled water to the molarity here is that that has to be plus that same molarity. And that means I can just use my rice table over here. I can figure out this molarity using the stoichiometry, and then I've got both of the molarities I need to calculate Ksp. You should have the Ksp written down. So once you calculate your Ksps, you have a spot there to show an example of your rice table to get your molarities. You have a spot to show an example of calculating your Ksp using those molarities in the Ksp expression. And then you have your average, which you will then do a percent error on. So hopefully that will help you get your thoughts together and work on that lab. If you're still confused, we'll talk about it on Friday, but you can also use the time today to work on your homework. Yay for Cengage. So hopefully I will see you on Friday and all the things will be well.